What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Behind the Brew. Where are we, Dave?
We are at Kantu Brewing here in 10 Mile, Oregon. It kind of feels like we're out in the country or something. It's
We're way out here in the country,
We
guys.
are.
And today is a nice misty day. It's not really rainy. It's just a misty day. I didn't bring a jacket.
It's a nice
but it's
fall
still warm.
day.
It's a perfect fall
It
day.
is.
And there's color out here. You guys saw the road on our walk in here. Just beautiful, guys. Just a beautiful spot.
Not somewhere you'd think you'd find a brewery, that's
I
for
know,
sure.
right? You wouldn't expect a brewery to be way out here, but actually there's apparently like 3 of them
Yeah.
have come out of 10 Mile, Oregon, including Backside Brewing,
Drapers.
and now we have Kantu that is still out here in 10 Mile. So it's it's kind of almost the grandfather place of breweries around here.
Plus,
It's really
you got
cool
some great
spot.
wineries out here too.
A lot of wineries, and on our drive in here today, we saw a lot of new vineyards being built and planted. So more wineries in the future.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Good possibility.
Anyways, guys, we're out here at Kantu. We're gonna go learn the story behind the brew here. Very excited. This has been a spot I've been trying to lock down for a long time.
A very unique little brewery.
Very unique spot,
Very unique.
Dave.
It
It's
is.
really cool, and they're only open once a month. So if you want to grab a beer from the brewery itself, you got to make sure you know where that is. And we're going to have the owner and the brewer talk about that. You can also grab their beer in stores, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Calm down. Let's go in there. Let's learn this story. Sit back, relax, grab a beer, enjoy this episode, and subscribe to the channel. Let us know what brewery you want to see us at next. All right, Dave.
Let's go check out Kantu and go have a beer, maybe.
Let's do it.
Or two.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Let's
Well,
go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Behind the Brew right here on Beverage Hunters. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm very excited to be at this brewery today. We're at Kantu Brewing, and we're out here in 10 Mile, a great little community out here in Western Oregon. So I'm very excited to learn the story here with Thomas. How's it going, man?
It's going great.
Well, thank you very much for making time for us today. I know it's been a tight schedule. It's been a long time in the works to get this set up, and I'm very excited to be out here.
It's good to have you guys out.
Yeah,
for
of
sure.
course we got Dave. How's it going, man?
going great, going
Yeah.
great. Right here at one of my favorite small breweries, with my man Thomas.
Making beer.
Making beer. All right, Thomas. Well, go ahead and let's start off by you kind of telling us a little bit about yourself. Give us some. Just talk to us about yourself.
Well, I'll give you my pat answer, right?
There you go.
My dad was a home brewer, so I definitely got into brewing early. In fact, I have notes from the 80s in my handwriting from dad's brewing. So
Nice.
it's always been kind of a part of my life. Then I went to college, of course, got biochemistry background, so kind of was able to delve into it some more. Ended up at American Brewers Guild. Did their craft brewers apprenticeship and their engineering programs there, and then worked at Harpoon and Green Flash, briefly.
Nice.
Just to get a feel for it. That was a 100 barrel and a 50 barrel system, so
Yeah.
this definitely feels a little bit smaller.
It's a little bit smaller than Green Flash, that's for sure.
So we started on at 1 barrel basically, so
Right on.
we're all the way up to 4 now.
Right on.
Nice.
So brewing, this isn't your only job, though. What do you do outside of this?
So I work in manufacturing. So I worked in manufacturing for about 20 years, mostly fluids. Now switching over to controls locally here at Arenco. So
Oh, right on.
yeah, so
That's
Cool.
awesome. So yeah, it takes up a lot of time, I know.
Yeah.
Real quick, you guys are only open though once a month. Is that correct?
that's correct. We're seasonally open once a month.
Okay.
But one of the big efforts we've been putting together over the last year is to grow our volume capability as well as get beer in cans, which has been real important for us because, as we all know, being open seasonally means that you operate the rest of the year without any revenue. So that's actually really difficult to manage.
Yeah, your cans are getting out there more and more, at least
Yeah.
in the local. And
Starting to see them move too, which is
Yeah,
nice.
that's good.
so-
Yeah, I see them in a lot of stores now. So it's really cool to see like a brewery this size being able to get in a lot of stores that some of the other breweries that are a little bigger aren't in yet. So
and
it's really cool to
you're
see.
just self-distributing, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're
just
super
so.
small, man. I mean, I think if I try to fill a pallet of beer right now, it would decimate our supply, right? So
What's the furthest you're out right now in distributing?
we're all in Roseburg right now.
Just all in
So,
Roseburg?
Yeah, so we
Okay.
got a couple of our quicker moving accounts, Sherms and
Yeah.
River Forks Marketplace.
Mhm.
And then we're in a few wineries around town right now as well. But just trying to make sure that we get our supply established, and then we're not shorting anybody, which is also a big deal to me. Once I have an account, I want to maintain that relationship, right? So
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
it's critical. You know, so.
Yeah.
And there's some good folks in town, so
Yeah, there are. And a lot of good people help support you. I know that.
Yeah.
tons of people supporting us for sure. So
Uh-huh.
we
That's
wouldn't be
awesome.
here without that.
No,
sure.
yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I don't know anybody myself. but-
Undercover.
All right, when did Kantu Brewing begin?
Kantu Brewing actually began as another brewery, so
Oh, really?
Another name. So we started as Kith and Kin.
Yeah.
Opened in I think 2019 was our first like 6-week window. So we opened at the very end of the summer that year.
Yeah.
Long story there, but we got delayed because of snowpocalypse. So
Yeah.
Oh,
around
that's
here,
right.
everybody around here remember that, and we got hammered. We were 4 foot of snow here.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
easily.
Yeah, so
Easily.
so it shut our power off for a month. I had tanks full, ready to open in April, and I lost all that beer. Everything went down the drain, and it was start all over. So we didn't get open until I think late July that year, and then we learned real quickly that we didn't have covers or anything else up. That the weather here shifts pretty hard in September. So
Yeah.
we got like a 6-week window the first year, and then second year we made it almost all the way through the second year, and we got our cease and desist, which is our kind of entertaining story there. But I got a 16-page letter on the Friday.
name?
Yeah, on the
Oh
name.
no.
From another crew that had a trademark in wine on it.
Oh,
So-
okay.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah, trademark in a wine, and then sent it to my dad, who's a lawyer, and said, "What do you think?" And he reviewed it for about 45 minutes, and he called me back. He's like, "Time to find a new name." so we started over. Right?
Yeah, that's too bad.
And
Yeah,
we like-
I do remember, that hearing about that when that happened and stuff. I forgot what was the reason why you had to. I know there was a conflict of interest with somebody, but
I mean, and it was our core ethos, right? It was just kind of building that community. I think a
Yeah.
lot of breweries start there, right? Like you need a
Yeah.
community to survive, first of all, and then you got to follow that with quality and consistency, and I think a few other critical pieces, to having a brewing business. But that was our core ethos, and then so it was really hard to shift. Because
Yeah.
all of a sudden now, like, where are we? We defined ourselves for years as that name,
Right.
and then so we had to shift pretty hard, and we were able to do that in off season with how we were operating at the time. So kind of rebranded and started back up. It was Kantu.
and it's worked very well, that's for sure.
We didn't lose as many people as I thought, but I still have people that actually we had a delivery probably like 10 days ago. Truck came in and he's like, "You guys are still out here?" I was like, "Dude, we never shut down." He's like, "But we've been looking for your name." And I was like,
Looking for the wrong name.
I told him
Yeah.
the story, and he's like, "Dude, we'll be out here next time." So.
Yeah.
Right on, right on.
But so you do lose a few people in that kind of transition, and it's pretty hard because both of us are pretty busy, so we're running around trying to keep up with everything, and to get out in the community as much as we like. That's one of our
Yeah.
big challenges, but that hasn't stopped people from getting here.
Oh yeah,
so.
considering where you're located at, you get a heck of a turnout here when you are open. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
It's really cool to see.
It's
Yeah,
this year in particular has been our fastest ramp.
good.
So COVID really kicked us in the shin
Yeah,
hard.
like everybody.
We had to have, we had to. Oh yeah, there's.
Man.
But I don't think those stories are done. I'll just be clear with that. I
No,
think
there's not, because you look across. I know across Oregon right now, a lot of breweries are shutting down or
Every week.
pulling back,
Mhm.
and it's sad. I mean, Wolf Tree Brewing, their last day is this weekend.
Yeah, tons. Are they really?
Yes,
Man,
at least
I
the
don't know.
pub house.
Okay,
They
I
are
haven't heard
going
that.
to carry on. They haven't announced how.
Okay.
But-
Yeah, that's a hard transition though. If you got a front like that, especially direct retail,
we
that's
got
that's where your
our
heart
friends
should be.
down in Grants Pass, Climate City.
Oh, really?
They had to shut down, other than the brewery.
Wow.
The restaurant shut down.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No, it's brutal right now. I think.
It is.
With,
Man.
I mean, all the factors that go into business, and then
Mhm.
beer is very typically a low margin business, so you have to be
Yeah.
pretty strict about what you do, right?
Yeah,
How
yeah.
you invest and make sure that you get a return on that.
Yeah.
So it's tough. it's not the good old days when beer was booming at 10-20% a year, So
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
creeping up still, and I think small breweries are starting again to chew into macro brewery volumes.
For
so
sure, I see
yeah.
that a lot
So
too.
that's indicates people are going back to local, and not just following a particular style. So
Yeah, support local.
yeah.
Probably a local brewery. All right. So what is the story behind the name? Is it Kantu? Is that what you said?
I say Kantu's fine.
Okay.
I'm not really particular about it, and in fact, I don't know the proper pronunciation, right? So it's a Sanskrit word. So we ended up looking through about 200 different names, did all the trademark searches, you know, so we actually trademarked this name finally, so that we don't have that problem again.
Good.
So now we in the beer space, it's ours, right? But the actual name of it means. Like the source of love, where love comes from, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was back to our community ethos, that kind of idea. And then so we had 3 or 4 names that we kind of preferred, and I started looking through alternative meanings for Kantu, and the third definition is a granary. So love comes from grain,
wow.
right? So
Perfect.
and that's our mantra. You see that in all of our cans.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I mean, it's it's the same. It all ties back to itself. So
That's awesome. That's really
So-
awesome. Great name. All right. How many beers do you guys keep on tap out here?
it varies wildly.
Varies,
So
yeah.
it depends on how well I can keep myself in control. We've had all 12 of our taps full on certain days with our beers. Right now we're running between 5 and 7.
Okay.
Kind of core beers, the ones that we're trying to distribute, trying to make sure we can keep that supply up. Right now I've got a new stout in the tank, and then just
Nice.
refilling like distribution and supply. So canning mostly, everything else.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a monster if it'll hurry up, and I'm looking at it over there like, come on, man, do it. So,
Well, it takes time for greatness.
I don't have time for that.
Don't rush it, Thomas. Don't rush
No,
it.
I don't.
It'll be good. It'll be good.
That's one of my things. If it's not ready or if it's not good, it does not go out. Right?
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
That's very much one of my musts.
Right. Yeah. That's good. That's good. All right. How many seasonal beers do you guys have?
Not as many as we probably should have, but because we've done the seasonal operations at the farm. So we'll work on that now, and in fact, have a ton of beers just from my home brewing days that I'd love to make. So
Nice.
I mean, a lot of higher alcohol,
Yeah.
Belgians. I really enjoy. That's where I started brewing. So it was all Belgians. In fact, our wedding beer was a quad. So
Oh.
yeah, like Sierra Nevada inspired quad, right? So.
There's that
There's
Sierra
the
Nevada.
I called it. Yeah.
Back to that one.
That's really cool. All right, so we already talked about your canning or bottling. So you
Yeah.
are canning. How many different beers are you guys canning right now?
Right now, 5.
5?
Yeah,
Right on.
5 is what we're keeping kind of in the field. Seasonally, we're replacing sugar pine, which is our American wheat, with Dark Logic, which is our more or less our winter dark, right? So
Yeah, your dark lager.
yeah,
Yeah.
Dark
Great
Lager,
beer.
Schwarzbier style German beer. So
Yeah, we did try the sugar pine, so we'll put the link right up above there so you can go check it out. All right, how much beer do you typically produce per year?
in volume,
Yes.
yeah, I don't know. We're sub 100 barrels. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
So we're really small, right?
Yeah.
So, like I said, it's been a second job. So I think
Right.
it's to even be able to be in that range for me is pretty good.
Yeah,
Pretty
it would
good
be.
deal. I mean, we probably do between 30 and 50 turns on the tanks a year. So
Okay.
that'll give you that 90 to 120, somewhere around in there. But,
That's awesome. Just enough, you know.
Yeah.
well, again, for me, it's got to be fresh, and then
Right.
well, I'll walk you around after we're done. But when beer's out of date, it gets trashed, right? So I'm not gonna push old beer.
No.
Right.
So, I mean, it's just they don't hold up for that long, right? So you just can't.
Yeah.
You got to be smart about what you make, and not be wasting. And
Right.
so all lessons learned, right? So
Exactly.
for sure.
I think a lot of times, especially at the end of the year, I get really excited about the Halloween party, which is next weekend. But
Yeah.
but then I would brew up a whole bunch of beer, and then season's over, right? And then you're sitting on all this beer. So not real smart approach. Lessons learned, as I said. So,
All right, tell us about your flagship beer. Which one do you consider your flagship beer?
what I consider my flagship beer and what others do may be different.
Okay.
So we got 2 beers that move really well. So Sugar Pine is one of them. That's been a consistent beer. In fact, that was one that I started off with. I wanted a light ale, right? And I wanted to cover a couple of territories, get kind of a flavor variety when we were opening. And after the first year, I was like, okay, I'm done with that beer. And I told some people that I'm not making it anymore. And every one of them was like,
Oh, everybody would cry.
No, you're not. You're not done with this.
Seems like every time I'm here, half the people out there drinking are drinking that.
It's consistently number one or number two.
Yeah.
Our number one or number two mover. So that's a really good one for us. And the other one is Monkey Teddy, which is a hazy we've been working on for a couple of years. I've really dialed it in where I want it, I think now. Kind of lighten some of the body, push the hops forward, and then fix some of the fermentation stuff that I was working on. So I think it's really hitting its prime. So I'm happy with that one as well. And that's also in our top 3 consistently. So,
Right on. I love good hazy.
Yeah, that's my baby right now.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
It is a good one, that's for sure.
Yeah, it is. What ideas do you have for some future beers?
I said I really want to get into the higher alcohol, longer aged beers. That's where I want to go. That's going to require some infrastructure. We have some other projects this winter, so it probably won't be this winter. But along with that, most of those will be released through a beer club that will open.
Oh, right on.
Once I start making those. So the regular range of beers that we make, I'll keep on tap and in cans. But
Right on.
The bigger ones will only be released through our beer club. So.
That's
Just
cool.
one thing I would love to see somebody here in Roseburg area do is a barley wine.
Yeah, I make a wheat wine, which is the one that I like. But it's similar category, just a little more spice, right? So same kind of like drippy alcohol, heavy malt idea, but then the wheat definitely turns it spicy, which is interesting. So
That would be interesting.
That sounds really good.
I've made that a few times. I enjoy it. It's also one. It's about a one and done for me, though. It's in that double-digit category for alcohol. So.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, I really love the barley wines, and they're hard to find.
Yeah.
You know.
They're hard to do well. I mean,
That's what I'm understanding. I mean, I don't know anything about the brewing. I only know about the finished product.
There are some tricks you can play, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of times you'll exhaust your yeast before they're ready, before the beer's ready. So you gotta pay attention to what you're doing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I
and that
can
includes
see that.
even oxidizing and fermentation. There's all kinds of things you have to do to keep those going and dry them out so they're not syrupy.
So collaborations.
Yeah.
We
did our
understand
first
you've done at least one.
We did our first one this year.
Yeah.
with,
right
with
on.
Backside in town.
With Backside.
They were great to work with when it was a Belgian.
Yeah.
So a little hot, 9.8% alcohol.
That was
that was good though.
It's a great beer. Yeah.
but it's super smooth. I mean, just hot in the alcohol range, but in the flavors, it's super balanced. They did it great.
Very
They actually
dangerous.
brewed it on site there. We collabed on how to get there. They brewed it. They did an excellent job. Very happy.
And
with
weren't you on hand for some of that?
Yes, we filmed that whole thing, so there'll be a.
Did you get the whole brew on there?
Yeah, we did the whole thing, start to finish.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I remember seeing you in the morning, but
Yeah.
then I think I was on the way up to.
Yeah, you
to
were
work or
like,
something.
I gotta get out of here, but I had to
Yeah,
stop by
I
and
was
check
doing
it out.
that work thing during that
he
whole
was-
process.
Yeah,
I hated it, but
It was really cool to see. That was the first time I've seen the whole process from start to finish.
Yeah.
So it took a few months, but yeah, we were able to get in there when they first got it going. Then at the end, we went back and tried the beer after it was done.
Yeah, the
fresh
process
out.
is magical, right? It really is. So I think that's some of the fun is that you can only control so much of it, and then you have to let the yeast who do all the work for you.
So
do their job.
anybody
Get out of
else
the
you're going to be collaborating with anytime in the future? Or
We-
any ideas of that?
We have a series discussion with Backside right now,
Cool.
so we're working on some other ideas with them. I need to check in with them, and then right now no other active collab discussions, but we've had kind of bounce off of other people and see where we are. So.
Yeah. Because with me personally, I'm pretty much friends with every brewer in the Roseburg area, and it just everybody seems to really appreciate and love one another. It's great.
It's a
There's
great.
no backstabbing, no nothing like that. It's just everybody has good support for everybody.
As Sam from Dogfish would say, beer is 99% asshole free.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's the truth. It really is, and I think that you don't gravitate to this for a lot of money. You gravitate it towards for the love or passion of beer, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the main things that brings that kind of community in. Really is, and it exists here in Roseburg, which I'm very glad to
It
see.
does.
Right? So,
And it's very strong in Roseburg.
and I haven't got no indication of any rub between anybody, which is super nice.
Yeah.
Right? So.
That's really cool to see.
Yeah,
Like,
because we hear that even up in Eugene too. And
yeah, those guys up there
those
too.
guys with the Cottage Grove Brewers, and it's nice seeing that.
Good community from everybody.
Uh-huh.
It's really cool to see. All right, well, that wraps up for this segment. Let's go ahead and move into the next one. Thank you, Thomas.
Yeah,
and
thanks, guys.
we'll see you right over there.
Let's do it.
Guys, now we are in the brewing side of Kantu. Back with Thomas again. He's the brewer and the owner of it, so it's super cool to be able to learn some more about the beer side of things over here. First of all, tell us about your brewing setup here. This is a really cool little spot in here.
Yeah, it's a necessity, right? So I think one of our goals when we started out was to start cash only, and then, as we know, putting a building in starts off with depleting every bit of your cash. So one of our pat answers was to get to the shipping container, which is what our licensed production area is built into.
That's awesome.
So you have a container, a floor, and then a pretty weather hardy system. The challenge was that it's more or less like operating in a boat. So everything's really close and everything's wet, right? Constantly. So lots of lessons learned, a lot of process improvements along the way, right? I mean, this used to be the brew house has always been on that end and the fermentation down here, and it used to just be a rat's nest of hoses to do it, and then we just hard plumbed everything on the wall so that we can do transfers that way and don't have a problem. So,
Nice.
It's really cool to see, and it very well built in here. Like everything's.
Yeah, you get inside here, you don't think you're in a moving container.
Yeah.
Well,
You actually feel like you're in a brewery.
one of the size limitations, right? So volume growth would mean that it will hopefully get to a place where we have to build a building. But
that would be really cool.
Yeah, this was the best way to start out for us.
Oh, for sure.
With how we were comfortable, for sure. So.
Probably help with cost a lot too, because you're not going broke and just kind of keeping everything.
And we started with our own money, so we didn't have any investors when we opened. So it was all trying to figure it out, put it together, make it work.
So how's the future looking? I mean, are you looking to expand into Roseburg, into city limits with all the big boys?
There's a couple discussions we're having.
Yeah,
always.
yeah.
It seems like you can have kind of carry a couple discussions, figure out what you're doing, and then we've been almost to the starting line, I think 3 times now. So including earlier this year before we opened, I thought we had one for sure.
Yeah. There's a lot of interesting spots opening up lately.
Yeah.
Trust me, I keep my eyes open for you.
Tons of things happening right now too.
Yeah.
So, and there's a couple out there right now that if either one of them would go, I would be on it now.
Yeah.
So I'm just waiting for them to figure out if they really want to do it now.
Yeah.
Some things that just don't exist in Roseburg right now. So there would be new additions to the community. That would be a really nice place.
Well, yeah, for what you have going on already and what your plans are, I think that would be a great addition to the lineups we have in Roseburg. Because you're right, a lot of people don't do the bigger beers, and we got a couple breweries playing with it, but not, like you want to.
Yeah, it's a space thing too. I think. I mean, that's really one of. I mean, it takes space and time.
Yeah, it does.
Right, to do it right. And even if you are strictly stainless, right? But if you want wood, it's good. Yeah, you need a lot more space and time. Right? So,
yeah. Barrels, that'll take a little bit of room.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so we kind of touched on it out there, but talk to us about your brewing background a little bit more again.
So my home brewer, my father raised me he was a home brewer.
Okay.
Raised that way, and then I started brewing on my own in college. So that's longer ago than I'd like to admit, but like 30 years of brewing, right? Just on my own after that. So lots of learnings, but primarily, like I think most people start out with the more flavorful beers, especially at the time. It was all macros, right? So macro lagers, and then like we started to see some of the craft beers.
Started seeing some pale ales and stuff like
Sierra
that.
Nevadas, Anchor, those guys came through. Where I was living at the time was in Oklahoma, and Boulevard was one of the first ones out of the gate there. And of course, their first one out was a wheat beer. So so it's kind of like my connection into the first craft beer I had that was available everywhere.
So what's your inspirations? I mean, what brewers did you look up to, or what breweries did you look up to?
The ones I was raised with. Right?
Yeah, so Boulevard,
Sierra Nevada. I think
No, with all the mentions on our Behind the Brew, Sierra Nevada,
They should
I think
jump
you
in
need to
here.
contact us.
You need to hashtag him on it. Ken,
We'll start
give him a
tagging
call.
Yes.
If you guys only knew, which they might, I don't know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it would be a whole other episode to talk about the beers that inspire this place, right? So I think
That's cool.
there's a ton of great beers out there. I lived in Europe for a while, so I have that influence as
Nice.
well. And then also having lived and traveled in Asia and in South Africa, it's just such different flavor profiles
wow.
wherever you go,
Yeah.
right? So I think you get a lot of different influences and a lot of different ways of looking at a beverage that doesn't have to. I mean, and we've seen a lot of that happen in the U.S., right?
Yeah.
So with the hazies are definitely outside of anything that existed previously.
Oh yeah.
Some of the
Remember 20 years, 15, 20 years ago, there was no hazies or hazy was an unfiltered IPA.
and it was outside of acceptability range too.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
You
yeah.
couldn't see through it; it was no good.
I know.
Stuff like the fruit sours now, those kind
Yeah.
of things. I mean, that stuff is a beverage rather than beer. It's not classically a beer
Yeah.
by any means, and some of the older brewers don't like that.
Right.
I've
I
actually
think-
seen a few around now that are really good, right? I mean, there's a couple of folks even in Oregon they're doing ones that like I bought one and I was like, I'll try it, right? And I got about halfway through and I was like, now I see why people like this, you know. But
Yeah,
you gotta
yeah.
find a good one.
You
that's
got a
the
couple
thing.
Yeah.
great breweries up in Eugene that are
Mhm.
doing the
Absolutely.
smoothies and this
Yeah.
that stuff, and
Yeah.
they're fun.
And that's the one I hit too. So I hit
Yeah.
Oakshire's,
Yeah,
Oakshire's
Oakshire.
set up
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, now I understand.
Yeah, yeah.
Now I
they're
get it.
they're fun to drink, but I just look at them as a fad.
Yes and
Personally.
no. You gotta. I mean, as a beer,
Yeah.
classically defined as malt beverage, right? That's what TTB does.
Yeah.
So it's malt, sugars, fermented, right? So it exists in that range. But if you just take away that part of it and say it's a beverage, you know, it is actually really good.
They are.
So,
They are.
yeah.
We would definitely want to get more of those.
People thought
On the
hazies
show, right?
were bad too. So
No, I
Right?
think-
Yeah, now they're a staple.
I think
Yeah.
hazy and the juicy IPAs are definitely here to
Oh.
stay.
yeah.
And I still want just a plain old IPA. That's what I want.
The West Coast are coming back, which is
They
nice.
are. They
and
are.
that's one of the ones I'll pull back a couple. We had a couple of West Coast when we opened,
Mhm.
but then hazies just took over. Keeping up with those is its own game. So.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, they move fast. That's the thing.
They do.
So-
they do. They do.
You
move
gotta
very fast.
brew what people want.
Mhm. Yeah. You want to pay your bills.
Yeah.
All right. How do you make your beer stand out? Like, what's a
Quality first.
quality
Yeah.
first?
Yeah, quality first, and then don't accept anything that doesn't meet your quality requirements, right? I mean, sounds simple, but it's hard to implement because you look at it sometimes and you got to take the hit, right? You gotta trash a beer.
Mhm.
I got a whole table full of beer sitting out there that's too old, right? So I mean, you just gotta think that way first and understand that if you're not making quality product, you're not gonna keep people around.
No.
You're gonna have people come visit.
Yeah.
They'll be a cool spot. I'm out, you know. So
Yeah.
that doesn't do you any good, you know. And I think.
Because yeah, you're not going to get people driving 20 some miles out to the middle of nowhere
Exactly.
unless there's some great product.
Exactly, and I mean, I've always felt that way about beer, right? I mean, I've had beers from other breweries, and this has been a while, but you don't see those people around anymore. But if your first experience is not good, you're not going back, right? So you gotta
Yeah.
make sure. I mean, including when we started canning about 6-8 months before we started releasing it. And I started putting it in our vehicles and let them heat cycle, right? I mean, there's that kind of stuff. I mean, this sits in somebody's trunk for 4 months. What's going to happen to it? How much is it going to get diminished? And I don't have a big lab or
Yeah,
a big
yeah.
advanced system to do all that stuff. So I just did it the way everybody else would, time and heat.
It's a good way to do it, though.
That's really cool.
See,
I like-
see what happens. So I mean, but it really is kind of having that mindset up front,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
You've got to have that, and that's.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that a lot of people that come in without that experience, I mean, both in manufacturing and in beer, right? So they come in without that, they get stuck, right? They make a beer, and that's what they make. So they don't have tools to get around. So.
Yeah.
Is it difficult to kind of take criticism for a beer,
No.
like in that kind of range where you're like, I know this is a good beer, but not everyone else likes
Not
it,
at all.
type of thing, or is that just kind of like?
No, in fact, I'm open to any feedback anybody has.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in reality, I need that. Right?
Yeah,
right,
I can't
right.
operate in a vacuum. But I also take into account people's style preferences,
Right.
their ability to communicate with me about what they're tasting. I'm a BJCP judge. So I went through kind of the learning curve to trying to understand where I am in beer,
Yeah.
right? And I'm not by no means the best, right?
Right.
But I put in the effort to try to learn, right? And I think sometimes people will just say it doesn't taste good. Well, that doesn't help me much.
No,
right?
no.
I mean, I understand you don't like
Why?
it, but what is it about it you don't like? Is it not balanced? Does it have a flavor you don't appreciate? Is it not your favorite style? I mean, that's what I get a lot of times. Is this isn't a good beer. Well, why not? Well, I don't like that style. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't mean it's a bad
Yeah.
beer.
Bad beer.
Well, it's like I
Just
even
don't
told
like
you
it.
myself at one time. I was here, and it was one of the beers that you had that I just wasn't for me. But it was a good beer. It just wasn't for me.
Yeah, exactly.
No, and that's fair, right?
Yeah,
And like I have a group of people that pick up beer in town. They will have it here, and my only request to them is, I need the feedback. Right? I'll drop beer off to people. Try this. I'm trying this out. What do you think? So I am open completely to critiques, to feedback, and then I balance that against where I think it's coming from, right? So,
Yeah.
but
Me, I'm always honest with all the brewers.
You have to be. That's the only way we
do.
grow.
And a lot of the guys in Roseburg respect me because I give them that honesty.
Yeah, if you guys hit something, if anybody hit something in town that's not right, let me know.
Yeah,
I'll
I'm not
pull
gonna
it.
go out and say that was a great freaking beer. And turn around, go on.
Yeah. It's so good.
That was so green.
Well, some of ours have been green hot for sure, but in the hoppy way, right?
Yeah.
All right, how is your beer connected to the local area?
Into which way?
Do you work with any businesses close by, or do you kind of help
Charities
anybody else?
or
Does anyone
anything
help
like
you
that?
guys?
At this
anything
point,
like that?
I think we're so small, we're building that community, right? We have a winery right down the road, Giardet, and they've been a great help in kind of perspective and how to deal with different entities within the government and that kind of stuff. So I think we're connected in that way in terms of people that are operating in this space. Again, time is a limitation for us. So,
Right, yeah.
unfortunately, I would be sitting at wherever I could every day if I didn't have to pay my bills, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
and we chose to grow slow and cash first.
Yeah.
Right? So as much as we could, to upgrade everything, we couldn't go completely cash, but so that means you have to be really patient, right? And for me in particular, that's not all I need.
It's
I
not
want to
easy.
be big and fast,
Yeah.
and then that'll bite you. Right?
Yeah, that sounds kind of like us.
Yeah. Patience.
It's just
Tough.
consistent effort, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's compounding. You do something a little bit better every day. You look back and in a year, you're like, okay, I made a lot of progress in that time.
Yeah.
Right? But it's just little bitty steps.
Just always keep in your mind, what can I do better? What can I do better tomorrow? It's kind of build on.
So even stuff like we would love to get around to the festivals and that kind of stuff, but there's two of us, right?
Right.
So and we live on a big farm and we raise horses and brew beer and have full-time jobs and the whole thing. So,
Yeah, it makes time a little
I would love to go do all that stuff. I would love to go do it as a participant, actually, just
Right.
to kind of experience what's out there.
Oh, it's fun.
But even that, I know. But I don't even have the time to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
to represent the brand correctly, I don't want to put it half-ass.
No,
you
you don't.
So I don't do what you're doing. Do it as well as you can. Be consistent as possible. Right? So,
Yeah. Personally, I think you're doing great with what you're doing so far. Anyhow.
thank you
For sure. Yeah, definitely. It's really cool. Where do you see the brewery in the future?
Huge.
Huge.
Yeah.
You gotta have dreams, right?
You gotta have dreams.
Yes.
If you don't have, I would love to offer a lot of things that, require a lot of expertise and a lot of people to do it.
Right.
Including, like I told you, kind of some of the beers we're looking at in the future, but I think also in terms of services you could offer to other breweries. So I have a science background, laboratory work, R&D and design, so all kinds of those things that you could bring in, to help other people grow.
Yeah.
So looking at mentoring, support services, that kind of stuff. Up to and including if we had a big enough system and enough space, and enough people to do it right.
All right.
Yeah.
Doing cross-branded brews, doing brews for other people, that kind of stuff. So, all stuff I'd like to do. The reality of it is that we function where we are now and grow to where we can be. Right. So,
Yeah.
All right. Here's the fun question. How much beer do you consume on a work day?
Not as much as I'd like some days, for sure. Oh my God. No, one beer, maybe two. That's about it. I'm not a huge drinker in that way, so I enjoy the flavors. I really like understanding what's going on, and a lot of times I won't drink the same beer twice. So
I'm the same way. I'm
Yeah.
horrible with that.
So it makes it really hard though when you brew the same beer over and over again.
Oh yeah, it would.
Because
Yeah,
you're
oh,
like,
man,
it's like
it would.
it's that one again. You know, so
Yeah.
so it's really got to be stuff you enjoy.
Yeah,
right? And that's the name
exactly.
of the game. And so I don't make beers I don't like. If I don't like them, they don't get made again. You know, it's just that's how it works. So I can make beers that are good and category, you know, fit in the category. But if they don't do something that something different from other people, there's no point.
Mhm.
Right? Everybody should be able to make a Pilsner.
Should.
Still haven't released one because I mean the ones that we've made weren't up to snuff, right?
Yeah.
So I've spent the last couple of winters brewing Pilsners, trying to figure out how to get where I want it to be, and they're not where I want.
Because
them
we're
to be.
finding some really good Pilsners lately, and I'm not a Pilsner drinker really, but
Yeah, we've tried a few.
we've had some really good ones lately,
Yeah.
just here in Roseburg.
Yeah.
There's some fantastic ones out there,
Yeah.
and there's I won't go into that one.
Yeah.
I got a Pilsner up in Portland. They called it a Pilsner. It was a dry hop Pilsner. And it very much should have been an IPA, right? Like,
Yeah.
It was just like, there was not even close to a Pilsner. They brewed it with Pilsner malt,
Right.
but it was not a Pilsner beer, right? So, I mean, and that's fine. I mean, but that makes it hard not to confuse people in my
Oh, I know.
So,
Yeah.
you're gonna get a Pilsner, then what the heck is this?
It's got the IBUs of 50 or 60.
This was probably 80.
80.
70 or 80. I mean, it was like hot burn hot.
Nice.
And I was like, that is not even close to a Pilsner.
I would have loved it.
I'll tell you where you can find it.
Okay.
You guys drive to Portland, you got snag it.
All right. What do you enjoy the most about running a brewery?
I enjoy the process. I think beer is very process first, meaning that if you can repeat yourself and know what you're doing, you'll end up in the same territory, right? So, and that comes from doing manufacturing forever, right? So, process is king. And, if you have controls in place and you understand what you're doing, and your people understand what you're doing, luckily that's me right now. So I only have to understand it. But I made plenty of mistakes, right? So. It's for me. It's the process. I mean, the product is amazing. I love beer. Obviously, I wouldn't be in this if I didn't like beer. So, but the process for me is why. I mean, and I like being in this box, right? So this is my time. You know,
This is your happy place.
Yeah, it is. It is, and it's
cool.
kind of like my escape from the rest of life.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like this for me.
Yeah.
My happy place.
Yeah.
If you could tell a new startup brewery a bit of advice, what would that be?
Golly, 4 times the money you think you need. Focus on quality, and then make sure you know what you're doing. I mean, and that's. I mean, those are fundamental things. They really shouldn't be hard, right? And I think that people get into it because there's a lot of passion. You know, people really enjoy the product. But to do it well, I think it requires some things that people aren't willing to do, right? So those are the things that, you know, it costs a lot more money than you think, and it takes a hell of a lot more time than you think to do it right. And that's what I would tell people. And don't worry about, I mean, a pink and green can that says fancy words you can't read. I mean, that's cool. It's not, it doesn't reflect what's inside that can. Right?
Exactly.
So,
What's in the can?
I'm more worried about what's inside the beer than I am on what's on the outside right now.
Yeah,
I
me
think,
too.
you know, when we have a chance to do some more collabs and that kind of stuff, I think I'll start having some more fun with branding and that kind of stuff.
Fantastic. Well, that's all I got. You got anything else you want to talk to us about?
That's it today. Thanks,
That's
guys.
it?
I appreciate
Alright.
it.
Awesome, man.
Thank you
Well,
very much.
next weekend they have their Halloween party out here.
Yeah.
So this video will be out long after that. But hopefully you guys show up for that. So this is the last weekend, correct? Next weekend will be the last weekend of this year?
The last event day. So we do the seasonal event days, and we do pickup parties during the winter. So we'll just announce them on Facebook, where it's basically, you know, we are open for a few hours in the middle of Saturdays. Come out, have a pint, grab a 6-pack, come see us.
So we'll link that down below for their Facebook page. Go follow them over there. And then next year, like I said, if you want to see when they're open, check their Facebook out. They'll let you guys know. We'll definitely be out here some more. Thank you very much for having us. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Dave.
I'm glad we finally got to be out here at Kantu Brewing in 10 Mile.
Got it.
Thank you, man.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
All right,
Appreciate
guys.
it.
Thank you for
very much.
watching.
Pleasure.
Subscribe, like, and go hunt some more awesome beer.
Yes. Play we're off to see the wizard.
Big production.
If you want to pause it, I'll move that stuff out.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Bloopers.
Yeah, edit,
Edit roll.
edit that out.
Dave's famous words.
Yeah.
Edit that out.
He said they were going to edit it out.
Damn you, Justin!
Yeah, who's doing the editing? I'm calling him.
Real quick, do you have the question cards? These are the wrong ones.
I do not have them on
You
me.
did? I put them in your phone.
Oh, did you? Oh, you did.
Are these
Hey,
the
look
right
here.
ones?
There it is.
All right, this is the right ones.
Okay, we got the right
and back.
All right, all right.
Um,